today's episode, repeating decimals after the 10th decimal place.
Action. Welcome to T equals, or this equals. So the idea is that this equals answers, this equals explanations about maths. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to briefly review how we convert a repeating decimal to a fraction. And then we're going to build on that, and we're going to learn how to convert a repeating decimal that comes after the decimal place, or after the 10th decimal place, right? Okay, you'll see what I mean in a minute. But first off, let's review how to convert a repeating decimal to a fraction. Let's convert 0.3 repeat to a fraction. Yeah. So step one is state the given information as an algebraic equation. Well, that's simple. X equals 0.3 repeat. Step two, multiply both sides by 10. So if we multiply x by 10, we get 10x. And if we multiply 0.3 repeat by 10, we get 3.3 repeat. And again, just to review, that's because you're going to be moving your decimal places just over by 1. Yeah? Okay, step 3. Let's minus an x from both sides. Minus an x from both sides. So 10x minus x is 9x. And 3.3 repeat minus x is going to be just 3, because we know from our very first step that x is the same thing as 0.3 repeat. And then the final step, because once we've done that, we're left with this nice, beautiful one-step algebraic equation that we learned how to solve earlier this year, at the end of last year. So we're left with 9x equals 3. All we need to do is solve for x. So that's both sides divided by 9. 9x divided by 9 is just x on its own, yay. And that equals 3 over 9, which is the same as 1/3. Great.
How to convert a repeating decimal that repeats after the x trailing decimal places, or after the nth or xth trailing decimal place, not places. And the example that we're going to use for this one is this number here, 0.357777, onward. So that looks a little something like this. And that is 0.357, and this has a line over it. So that's not to be confused with 0.357 with a line over the top of them, because that would be the same as 0.357, 357, 357, and so on and so on. So that's not what we're looking for, yeah? So it's this one, 0.35 with the 7 repeat. All right. So this is our example. Convert this number to a fraction. Yeah, and step little one, because I forgot. Step little one is state the given as an algebraic equation with y. Yeah. And I'll tell you why we use y, or you'll see why in a minute. So that is very simple. The given information is 0.357 repeat. You just put the y before it, says it's equals, y equals 0.357 repeat, and the process is started. Now the real step one is multiply that equation so that the repeat is just after the decimal place. Right? So we want to move the repeat just after the decimal place. So we want to move the decimal place over 2 places to the right. So what do? We need to multiply it by 100. And if we multiply one side by 100, we have to multiply the other side by 100. So that's 100y equals 35.7 repeat. Step 2, separate the whole number from the decimal. So all we're doing is expanding it out. So 35.7 repeat is really the same as 35 plus 0.7 repeat. Now, step 3, state the new decimal as an algebraic equation with x. So this is our new decimal here, 0.7, and we're just going to state that as x equals 0.7. Now, this should start look familiar to you, because we actually you've been taught how to solve this. So you can solve this and then work backwards and figure out what the rest of it is. So the first step of solving this, or step 4 in the big picture, is multiply both sides by 10. 10x, 7.7 repeat. Step 5, minus an x from both sides. Minus an x from both sides, so that's going to be 9x equals 7. Step 6 is solve for x, divide both sides by 9, and then write in fraction form. X equals 7.7 over 9. Now, the next step is step 7, which is combine the whole number we left out in step 2, it should say, and make an improper fraction. So what that means is this whole number here in step 2 is, we need to bring that back in because it was originally 35.7 repeat. So we want to work backwards to that. So now it's going to be 35 and 7/9. But we want to make that an improper fraction. So 35 and 7/9, we're going to make that an improper fraction. And the way we do that is we multiply 9 by 35. And 9 times 35 is 315. And then we want to add this 7 here because 35 is the same as 315/9. And then we've also got this 7/9, so it's going to be 315/9 plus 7/9 is going to equal 322 over 9. All right, so step 8, state algebraic equation with y. And it should say on there from step 1, yeah, not the little step 1, but this step 1. Because we have this number here, 322 over 9, which we know is the same as 35.7 repeat. So we know that that's the same as 100y, so we need to restate it as 100i. 100y equals 322 over 9. Now we want to solve for y. So if we solve for y, we want to divide both sides by 100. So 100y divided by 100 equals y. And 322 over 9 divided by 100 is the same as 322 over 9 times 1/100th. 322 times 1 equals 322. 9 times 100 equals 900. And that step is done. Next step is simplify. So y equals this cool fraction here, 322 over 900. Both of these are divisible by 2, right? Because they're both even numbers. So you're left with a simplified fraction of 161 over 450. Now, I thought it was worthwhile to draw a little diagram that might explain how this works kind of in real life. So if we have this rectangle here, and this rectangle is 450 millimeters in length here, and we know that 0.357 repeat is 161 of those 450 millimeters, yeah, then that kind of gives you a little visual of what's happening when you have this sort of decimal and the equivalent fraction. I hope that helps some of you. Okay, cool. I found this really cool website called Calculator Soup, and the way it works is, well, there's heaps of calculators on it. This is just the decimal to fraction calculator. I don't know, there's maybe almost 100 calculators that you could use on here for different things. But let's put in our answer, and it is our decimal. So it's 0.357. 0.357. Now, if we left the trailing decimal empty, let's see what we get. We get 357 over 1,000, of course, right? But let's change this so that we have this repeater. Yeah. And the way this calculator works is it says trailing decimal places to repeat. Well, it's only going to be the 1, yeah, because it's the 7. And we calculate. And voila, we got the right answer. Now, what's really cool about this calculator is it might show you a different way. Yeah, this is actually a little bit simpler, the way they've done it. And I encourage you to learn how to do that. The way I've showed you, it just builds on the last lesson. That's why I've showed you like that. But this is a very sort of elegant way to do it if you want to learn how to do that. And let's see what would happen if we did 3 repeaters. Let's do 2. Yeah, so it'd be 0.3575757, 59 over 165. It's close, but it's pretty different. Yeah, because that would be the same as 118 over 330, which is pretty different from the answer we got. Yeah. Okay, so that's done. And then one other trick I want to show you in your calculator. You could just use the S to D button, right? So if you know how to put a repeater decimal in your calculator, you can put it in, push this button, and it will give you the appropriate fraction for that. Yep. All right, cool. I will try to make sure that you can see all this and you can put it in your books properly. And then just to refresh, all these items here, all these brown steps here, yeah, these could go in your left-hand columns on your notes table. And then all of these red things here, these could go in the right or the left-hand column of your notes table. Yeah, because these would be the examples and these would be the steps. If you wanted to do it that way, of course you could do it a different way if you wanted, but I will make sure that we get this up on the board properly so you guys can figure out how to put it in your books. Thank you very much for paying attention.